Recorded. Hello everybody, to another session of the XStepCafe. And today it might be a little bit shorter because Uwe has to leave early and my voice is not very good because I have a little cold. So yeah, then and Uwe has prepared a little thing. So Uwe, are you ready to start, or was there?
Yes, I'm ready to start. I hope you can see the PowerPoint slides on the screen.
Yes, I can. So
Yeah, okay.
go ahead.
Hello, everybody. I would like to mention two topics. One is hopefully the last time in a follow-up on the XStep archiving discussion that we had on the solution. And another thing that came up as, let's say, a side effect on the archiving discussion was how could we allow an early deletion of XSteps from manufacturing orders, meaning process and production orders. Okay. So, a glimpse of a view. These are the main points that I want to share with you. One is the general information about the archiving topic, and then also the idea of the early deletion of execution steps, how the business requirements were this part, and how the solution looks like, and some screenshots, and perhaps also a kind of a live demo that I want to share with you. Okay. First of all, we are now at the end, so this means the new ADK-based archiving object CMX XS is shipped with a SAP node, so it's also downported to lower releases, lower enhancement packages. And what's also worth to mention is that the node itself contains an attachment, contains attachments. On the one hand, documentation about, like you would have in our SAP library, about the business context of the archiving object, and also the integration with master recipes, routings, and manufacturing orders, and a small how-to guide, how to set up archiving, how to execute writing the files to the archive, and also how to read the data from the archive. So most of the things that are mentioned in the how-to guide have also been demoed in the last XStepCafe, so you should be familiar to that. With the help of a customer that went live with this solution, we were able to get also some interesting numbers comparing the performance of the new IDK-based archiving object and the XML-based archiving object. Let's say the sample data was about 500 XStep trees that are ready to be archived, and writing the data to the XML VAS archive took about 19 minutes, and these XStep trees were not that big. And if you compare it with the ADK part, let's say at least similar XStep trees, it took only 4 minutes, which is about 5 times faster than the XML-based approach. Another part also important is how large are the files that are stored in the archive for the content of the archive run data. And here for the XML we took about 721 megabytes, and the ADK-based part, which stores the database table content, it's about 100 megabytes. So you see it's 7 times less memory consumption on the archive storage, which is quite, let's say, a little bit explainable. It is explainable because the XML document itself, it contains a lot of descriptive information that you don't need if you just store the database table entries on the ADK. So I think quite impressive, and it's really worth to head for the ADK-based archiving objects instead trying to use the XML-based archiving object. So now to something a little bit different. We had during the discussions which archiving solution would be the best. We had a scenario where say customers do have manufacturing orders. They completed the processing of the manufacturing orders. Those manufacturing orders, especially process orders, they contain XSteps. And the main problem is due to business reasons you can't delete archive and delete the manufacturing orders. So this means for the XStep part, the XStep trees can only be archived when you delete the archived order data, because in this case these XStep trees that belong to the archived and deleted process orders, they were marked for archiving. And the main problem that the customer observes is that those obsolete XStep data remains in the database tables, which is correct, but it really decreases performance if you have, let's say, a workload of about, let's say, 2 years of XStep data that you don't get rid of. And archiving does not really solve the problem, and they, together with us, we formulated an idea, and here the idea was to provide an early deletion for the XSteps of such orders. So, but to do this, we have to consider some prerequisites. The most important one, especially for those who are in a regulated environment, is that the XStep data is not required for any audits. So customer decided, okay, we rely on EBR or PI sheet data, which demonstrates or allows us to show how critical parts of the production went well or went bad, and the XStep data as let's say as the backbone of the PI sheet is not needed anymore. And so if you don't need it anymore, just remove it from the system. Another prerequisite that we check during this early deletion, or what should be checked, is that the order status is completed or technically completed. And this is something that's not that hard boundary, because you might know that you can reset the order status from completed or technically completed anytime. So, and this also has, let's say, some implications on the solution that we offer. But for the customer, they said, okay, if our orders are complete or technically completed, then we won't touch them again. We also won't use them as templates for other orders. So we could get rid of the XStep data before we get rid of the order data in future time. And to bring up a solution for that, we also provided a note. You see also here the description of the note is named Reorganization of XStep Data of Orders, and it contains a new report. It calls body methods. And those body methods, they have the functional logic that allows you to detect the entries that fulfill, let's say, the requirements, and also to execute deletion of the corresponding database table entries. To make consumption of this body a little bit more easy, we provided a fallback implementation class. So this means, as far as the node or the corrections of the node are implemented in your system, you have a fallback class that allows you to start the report and do also the checks without the need of having an own implementation. I told you a couple of seconds earlier that the process order and production order state is complete or technically complete is revertible. And therefore we had, let's say, some kind of headache to really ship such a report that allows early deletion with a working productive deletion, because if you do it accidentally and choose the wrong orders that you don't want to delete the XStep, then the data is gone. And therefore what we did is that the fallback implementation class contains method implementation for deleting that doesn't allow you to remove the database table entries from the XStep database tables. Instead, a message is raised that say, okay, if you want to do this, you have to create an own implementation. Creating an own custom implementation of this body is quite easy, because you can inherit from this fallback class of the sample implementation. And you might see here in the source coding part, here it is also named that if you remove this part of source coding, then you can productively delete the XStep trees that you chose and that fulfill the prerequisites for deletion. So it makes quite easy, and and we are quite on the safe side, because to remove the data you have to implement the body on your own, and then you're also responsible for choosing the right orders where you want to delete the XStep trees from. Okay, just want to show you some screenshots, and maybe we can have a look at the system. Here it's quite a selection screen, which is relatively easily to be maintained, so you can choose a range of order numbers. You have some checkboxes where you can say, okay, I want to run this program first of all in test mode without a commit and without a deletion, and also the possibility to have a more detailed application log that comes up when you execute the deletion function. And also the possibility, if you want to directly delete XStep trees from process orders, you can also tick this checkbox, and then you won't get the ALV grid result list that allows you to choose which entries you want to process, and also display variants for the ALV grid. Okay, if you have executed selection, you might get an ALV grid result list. What's indicated here is in this column an indicator if deletion is possible. Possible means that the prerequisites for deletion are fulfilled. Here in the let's say default implementation, we just check for the order status. So here these orders are completed. What you can also see here is we output the ID of the XStep trees, and also if you have PI sheets or control recipes, and then they are also output here, and also the status of the control instructions or PI sheets, control instructions, is listed here in this column. So, and for the other topics, you might see there are red traffic lights. This means that at least the XStep trees or the orders are not in a state that allow you to delete the XStep trees. So they also the reason here is quite crucial, because the status is these orders are still in processing. Okay, if you've done a selection in test mode, and you have not set the the detail log checkbox, then you get an information that you're running this report in test mode. The numbers of XSteps that you selected, entries here, and also if there are, let's say, not all XStep trees that are deletable, and then you get here warning message, and also, let's say, at least a simulation result. That means you got 2 that could be deleted. If you would run it in productive mode, 2 of them are deleted, and 28 are not deleted. So in productive mode, if you don't have the body implementation, your own body implementation for deletion method up and running, then you will get also not the detailed log, the summarized log, then of trees that are deletable, and also a message that the productive deletion is not possible because here the fallback class is active, that you require your own implementation of this body. So this might help you to understand what's going on here, and also here only the 0 trees that are deleted, because productive deletion is not by default shipped with a node. Okay, I think I will just quickly go into the system and show you here. So in broader view the screen, and also what this means if you have a detailed log. So I just chose a couple of orders, executed. Hopefully we get the result soon. So don't think that's so. Okay, and a better screen resolution. You see here the indicator that we saw before, and also here the other columns. You can easily extend those columns of the ALV grid with your own additional information. Okay, and if I say, okay, I just want to mark it here, I want to delete it, and then this is the detail log, then you see, okay, here for the except trees, the incorrect deletion status is set. We only have those two that are principally deletable, but also here the fallback class implementation is active, therefore no periodic deletion is possible. So, not to confuse it too much, just want to show you something about the body methods. For those who are interested in more technical details, one method I already explained briefly is the method that encapsulates the deletion. But we spend also two additional methods. One is called to check, to allow implementation of an additional authorization check that you could do. So we check for deletion authorization of XStep trees, but you could just restrict the person that could execute this report in a better way by implementing this method. We have also the possibility to extend the checking of the deletion prerequisites. So in standard here, we are just checking that those XStep trees are not marked for archiving, because if they are marked for archiving, they should be archived, not deleted physically with the help of this report. And also we're checking the order status. So that's quite similar to topics that you do have. And also what it's then again, what you can do also is here to check the status of the control recipes or the PI sheets. And say, okay, if I do have PI sheets that don't fit with the status, then they should also not be deleted. But it means if as a consequence, if you have PI sheets that are still in progress and control recipes that are not completed, then you can't set the order status to technically completed or completed, as far as I know. So here also the possibility is to refine the pre-selection based on, let's say, your business processes. So, and that's it from our side to explain to you, say, this early deletion. So it might be helpful for some of you, but I think the main benefit really was that I explained was the new archiving object that is ADK based. So that's it. If you have questions, just ask.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Uwe. It seems there are no questions at this time. Well, as usual, I expect that you give me your presentation, and I will put it as an attachment in the resulting post of this session.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, are there any other questions? So, because that's all we have prepared, and Uwe has to leave also shortly, but I can still be around a little bit. But as I said, I don't want to speak too much, but maybe go ahead.
Arnie, I had one question. We're trying to make live parameters work, and I know you have material in the XStepCafe on that, and we're still not able to pass the values. And I was wondering if there's more I can't find a whole lot of documentation out there about live parameters, but it does reference MDA, and I'm wondering if I needed to make any technical settings in MDA at all, or MDM, whichever one the tool is that it uses. But we have the XStep we downloaded from the from the cafe, from the forum, and we've built those XSteps in an order, and everything compiles correctly, and the control recipes generate, but it's not passing the data. And so I just didn't know if you had any more sources of information that I could look at.
I think there's an SAP node that has to be implemented because I can have a look at it, because there was, let's say, a side effect of another node that, let's say, prevented the live parameter usage. So it worked before we had the side effect, and it should work after the node is implemented. But I can search for the node. I will just note it down.
Okay, that would be wonderful.
Maybe, Sue, maybe could you just put your question on the Google Plus, and then Uwe can maybe answer there. So that's also,
this would be
I think,
fine.
because I think that is definitely something that maybe other people might run into.
Yes, I can do that, and I can put the specifics of what we've set up as well. Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions or comments? Or just chatting, if you want. Like we started at the beginning, Sue.
Yeah. But now we're being recorded, so the chat is official.
Oh, okay. No, never mind.
No,
just millions of people watching this recording. You know, it's not a big deal.
yeah. I
no,
will
it's probably
mention
rather some tens to hundreds, not millions.
Yeah.
You wanted to say billions.
I did want to mention
if that would be the case, I would put it as YouTube videos, and they could really.
Okay.
The last time on the last call, I had asked a question about the signature table locking, not releasing locks, the sign H, S-I-G-N-H table, not releasing locks. And I will give you an update on that if you'd like. OSS has released a note that is now releasing the locks from that table, except when it's a deviation signature. So they're still working. I've responded back and said, yeah, it's working great except for deviation signatures. And so they just sent me a message this morning saying that they were going to investigate further and issue, I would suspect they'd issue another note. But for any of you that if you go to, what is it, SM53 or whatever the lock database table transaction is, and you go for SIGNH and you see a lot of locks there, it affects performance. And this note is just a line of code that says release locks that you implement. So it was affecting us because some days we would have 500, 600, 700, 800 locks on a table that weren't released until the PI sheets were closed. So just to give an update that OSS has found the issue. There was a note already, but that note didn't fix it. So they've issued more notes. And thank you for the advice of sending that to OSS because I didn't know
sure.
it was something we had developed or, you know.
Yeah, that's still the main channel if you've got any problems. Of course, sometimes the problem is just the lack of knowledge, but if you really tried hard already, then really it's not a big deal to just raise a message, an OSS message, and I mean they will tell you if it's just consulting that they give you.
Yeah.
Any more chatting? Okay, I don't mind leaving early. So if you don't feel if you're not in the chatty mood, then I'm fine with closing the session up. Any objections?
Nope, that's fine with me.
Okay.
Thank you very much for the presentation.
Was nice for the nice chatting with you. Looking forward to next time, maybe with better voice. And yeah, have a nice day.
Thanks a lot.
Evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.